Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wingcat Sports, and it's the time of year where we just talk about rumors weekly, news weekly with the Lions, since with the disappointing playoff loss, stuff is going on. Now, it's been a bad week for the Lions, right? You lost in the playoffs. Now you have lost both your coordinators on top of potentially other coaches. First up, Ben Johnson got hired by the Bears 2 days after the playoff loss, which kind of was not the best thing to happen, but you knew he was going somewhere. You didn't think he was going in division. I think he'll do okay with the Bears. We'll see how he can turn that team around. But it seems like he will be okay in Chicago.
Oh yeah, I mean, you can't turn down. I mean, what was he making 3 million with us, and he's making 14 million there. So I mean,
They threw all the money they could at him.
man, who wouldn't take that? And I don't know. I noticed a lot of people are saying, and I noticed it too, that he's kind of like Dan Campbell light. He kind of copied Dan Campbell's uh, inaugural speech with us, talking about some things, and I don't, we'll see. Well, I think but you can't turn down that money.
No,
You can't do that. And he may be a little over his head, but you never know. You never know if these coordinators are going to make good head coaches until, they do it. And you just need such a good environment around you. And the Bears organization has had a history of not being very good. Not just the coaches, the GMs, the owner.
so we
Everything seems to be in disarray over there.
we
So it's not just Ben Johnson. Um, that organization needs to get straightened out.
yes, we'll see what ends up happening. Maybe Ben Johnson can fix it. Chicago's been known for messing things up, and if he does not end up working out in Chicago for whoever knows how many years that might be. We'll see where he ends up after that, whether he's done good enough to still get a head coaching job somewhere, or he's going to go back to being an offensive coordinator somewhere. Along the lines again, your coordinator's leaving. Aaron Glenn left a couple days ago as well. He ended up going to the team that drafted him, the Jets. Can he turn around a faltering team? I don't think Aaron Rodgers is there anymore. Um, I believe they are looking for a new GM still to try and build that team. So they got Aaron Glenn, and they're only looking for a new GM there in New York.
Right. Again, it's a dysfunctional organization. Something we've learned over the last 4 years how important it is to have continuity, to have a good GM who can draft an owner that wants to win, um, a coach that wants to win. That these, you may sound cliche, but um, you need that. You need the organization all going in the same direction, and they don't have that in New York right now. Um, so I hope Aaron Glenn succeeds. Um, as long as he doesn't beat us, I don't care.
I mean, he's in New York, so
He
you have
he
little to
did a
worry
great
about.
job for us and deserves this chance. And um, I just, like I said, I feel like it's going to take a while to get these guys.
Yes,
They got a
they got
lot more. They got a
and
lot more
a
problems
lot
than
of
they do in Chicago. So
um,
he has a much harder task than Ben Johnson, as far as I'm
a
concerned.
lot of Lions personnel is moving to on top of your coordinators because going with potentially Aaron Glenn to um New York, they're thinking about potentially Mark Brunell may be their offensive coordinator. I don't think it's been confirmed that he is going to be the offensive coordinator, but he is in line to be at least interviewed. Your defensive line coach, Terrell Williams, he decided to go to the Patriots, so he hired a new defensive line coach recently, which they don't have here for me, but I know they did hire one. I think Casey Rogers is your new defensive line coach. Hank Fraley, your offensive line coach, has interviews with Seattle. He's on his second with Seattle to be their offensive coordinator. On top of the fact Ben Johnson might be trying to take him, on top of the fact that you might be trying to keep him. Lance Newark, who used to be in the Lions organization recently, is also in line to be the Jets GM potentially. And then Kelvin Shepard, your linebacker coach, who I felt like is going to be your new defensive coordinator in line after Aaron Glenn, because I don't think you're going to hire from outside with either of your spots. He is emerging as a popular defensive coordinator candidate as well. So you might be losing him if you don't try to keep
Right. Well, that's the nature of having success. You're going to lose coaches, and yeah, I think it takes this as an opportunity to kind of like start fresh again. Um, get some new ideas in here. This crew has been running around for about 3 4 years, and Dan Campbell's still here, and so he understands. He understands it's a credit to him that these guys are being hired, and I like I said, get excited that we might get some new faces, new ideas. Um,
your offense
I,
might not be as tricky as it was or has been the past few years, but
yeah,
maybe Dan Campbell's been really mostly the one behind the trick plays
well, I mean,
and
sure,
not Ben Johnson.
Dan Campbell, I'm certainly wants somebody like that. Wants to be aggressive. So I don't think you're going to go conservative or anything like that. But you know, who
They're,
knows? Like I said, I kind of thought Mark Brunell might be our offensive coordinator, or Scotty Montgomery's still here. He might end up
they're,
being it. You have, like I said, it's an interesting conundrum that all good teams face every time there's an off season. People leave, people get hired.
yeah.
That's just the nature of the game.
So you're more likely to hire a rookie offensive coordinator because Dan Campbell does have experience with the offense. So he has called plays before when Anthony Lynn was your offensive coordinator, and he absolutely sucked
Right.
that first
Well,
year. He eventually took over play calling
too conservative. Right.
and called a few plays, and they won games during that span.
I
So
think I think
Dan Campbell will help whoever they hire as an
And I
offensive
also think
coordinator.
that Jared Goff's going to be a big part of who they hire. I'm sure he's going to get his input. I would hope. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the person that you got to be click with.
Yes.
Um, let's see what they got. And
Um, yeah, we'll see where they're moving with these. But again, if as you lose coaches, that's what you get for being a good team. You lose coaches,
right,
and it's a yearly cycle of who's leaving your team as long as you're good.
right,
But moving on to what the team is doing, uh, Lions are expected to interview Larry Foote as a defensive coordinator. He was previously a linebacker coach in Tampa. Like I said, either they're going to hire Shepard or they're probably going to go with an outside candidate, more likely. If they do, they're great. If they don't, we'll see what happens. But Larry Foote is scheduled for an interview for the defensive coordinator job. Um, and we'll see what happens. We haven't heard much on the offensive side of the ball who they're looking at yet, but we'll see what ends up happening with that too. Um, and then other news kind of circling around is fairly recently is Lions are going to explore a Kerby Joseph extension, but they have not discussed any deal with Carlton Davis, which I figured he's one of the guys who I wouldn't really re-sign. Yeah, he is good, but you want to save your money. You have so much cap space, you're going to put it into other players. Do not sign him longer. Just let's see what we got in Tyrion Arnold, Rackstraw, and whoever else is on your team. Basically,
right. I
but
agree.
there's not much outside of that going on with the Lions right now because it's not fully the offseason yet. It's just a lot of coaching hires. Hopefully by, before the offseason officially begins, we have all our coaching staff in place. Hopefully they also extend Kerby Joseph. He does deserve an extension. He has played very well. He led the league in interceptions this year. As much as people call him a dirty player for the hits he puts on. He is a good safety and it would be good to extend him.
Yeah, I agree with that. Like I said, this is the tough part. You get good. You got to know who to let go, who to keep, who to pay, who not to pay. It's a juggling act. That's why drafting has been so important and why we've done so well because you can't keep everybody. And we'll see what happens.
Yeah. I expect them to try and keep as much of the defensive players as possible so you have a good defensive core. But like Carlton Davis, you don't need to keep him. You'll just roll with Arnold and Rackstraw. Even though Carlton Davis is pretty good at cornerback, again, save your money. You're gonna need to extend Kerby Joseph. You're gonna need to extend Hutchinson. You're gonna need to save money for JMO in the future for whoever you want to keep if you want to keep JMO. So keep as much open as you can. Same thing with like Kevin Zeitler. Again, we'll look at the free agents. I wouldn't sign him either, but we'll see what. We'll end it here though. If you like what you see, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think about all these coaching hires going on and what the Lions should and shouldn't do. Until next time, see everybody soon.